and it's so great to be here. And today we're talking about two bills. One is the Buffalo Bills. Let's hear it. Will you give me a go, Bills? 1, 2, 3. Let's go, Bills. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, Bills. Thanks, kids. That's one type of bills. The other type of bill is a bill to make a law. And we are here, Demar and I and all our friends are here to make a law that says every school should have this machine called an AED, which can save lives. And every school should not only have the machine, but it should have training so everyone knows how to use the machine and when to use the machine. And because of this man's great efforts, Demar, we're right on the 1-yard line of passing this bill. And I will go to the floor of the Senate this week and ask the whole Senate, bipartisan, Democrats and Republicans, to vote for this bill, and then it'll go to the president, he'll sign it, and every school will have one of those machines. Is that great? So how did this happen? Demar had originally, after he had his little incident there in football 2 years ago at the football game, he hooked up with the American Heart Association. It was his idea to make sure every school, particularly the schools that might not afford it on their own, get this machine. And he visited me and he said, could you help me, because I'm the leader of the Senate? And I said yes. And we spent the whole day walking back and forth, talking to senators and saying why it's important. And he gave me, come on up, Demar, he gave me this jersey. Look at this. Now, I'm not really number 3. In the Senate, I'm number 1, but on a football team, I'd be about number 333. But he did this, and he signed it, and it says,
thank you for the love and support.
And so here we are, and he's worked so hard on this bill. Now, why did he do that? Because it didn't help him personally. There was an AED, one of those machines at the stadium when he needed it. He wanted to make sure all of you kids and the kids across America had a machine in their school. So if God forbid they had a little trouble while they were playing sports or any other thing, you could use the machine and save their lives like this machine saved his life. Is that great? So let's have a cheer for the generosity of this man. Okay, so let me say a few more things. Want to hold it? You can't keep it, I need it. Okay, so first I want to acknowledge who we're joined by. Of course, Matt Haberl, he's the Cheektowaga PE teacher. His son, you know Mr. Haberl, right? Yeah. His son, Gunnar, where is he? He works for me in Washington. He comes here from Buffalo. Did you go to Cheektowaga Central? No.
I went to Iroquois.
Okay, he went to Iroquois. But he works for me, and every week, since I can't go to the Bills Stadium and follow the Bills and go to the games, he usually goes when they're here. We call each other every 10 minutes, and I say, they took that guy out, is he injured? What are we gonna do? Because I'm an avid Bills fan, and you may not remember this, kids, but the Bills about 10 years ago, how long ago? No, they were thinking of moving away from Buffalo about 10 years ago. And I worked very hard to make sure the Bills stayed in Buffalo and help them get the new stadium that they're building, the beautiful stadium that you see they're building. So they're going to be here for a whole generation. And you know who's going to watch the Bills in Buffalo? Not only you, but your children and grandchildren. So because they're going to stay here for a very long time. Okay, so let me introduce the people. So that's Matt Haberl. We have Demar. Nancy Brown is from some place called the American Heart Association. They make sure everyone has good hearts, and they wanted to make sure they hooked up with Demar to make sure that every school gets this machine, and came to me to pass Again, I'll show it to you again. And came to me and to get the legislation so every school could have one. That's what we did. Now, who else is here? Nancy Brown from the Heart Association. Jeff Miller, who I knew when he worked in Washington, but now he's the he's the executive vice president for communications, public affairs, and policy of the NFL. There he is. We have our great congressman, my partner and friend, Tim Kennedy. Do you represent South Buffalo? Do you represent Cheektowaga? He's your congressman, so when you're old enough to vote, God willing, you could vote for him. And the head of our whole county, anyone know the name of the county we're in? No, that's the country. Erie, right. Erie County, and that's Mark Poland Cars. We have our legislator, Tim Myers from Erie County. Tim, where'd he go? There he is. We have our supervisor, he runs this county, Cheektowaga County, and that's Brian Nowak. And we have our local council member, Brian Pilarski. Brian. And because nurses know how important an AED machine is, we have some nurses from Roswell Park. Raise your hands, nurses. Where are you? Okay. So, and the bill we're going to pass is called the Heart Bill. Now, can I give somebody here? Yeah. It's called the Heart Bill. It's a very complicated name. It's called the Health Education, Awareness, Research, and Training Act, because it's all about the heart and all about all those things, okay? And 2 years ago, as you know, our nation stopped when they saw Demar suffer a cardiac arrest during the game. All of America joined together. This man is not only a great football player, he's a great human being. And I got to know that working with him. And all of America supported his resilience, his perseverance, his bravery. In moments of hardship, you know, when you have a tough time, I'm sure your parents tell you this. When you have a tough time, it's how you bounce back from that tough time that measures what kind of person you are. And Demar had a tough time, but not only did he bounce back, he said he wanted everyone else to have the opportunity, if God forbid they had some kind of problem with their heart, to have one of these machines like he did, which was at the football stadium, to save him. And so he used his voice to create an inspirational story about a life-saving mission and help kids all across America. These machines, once we pass our law, will be in every high school in America. Everyone, if it's here, California, Florida, anywhere, to make sure. As I said, we met together when he came to visit me with the Heart Association. He said, could I help? And I was taken by him and his strength of character and his desire to help people. And my job as senator is to help people. So we became a team, Demar, myself, and the Heart Association, to lobby all the senators to do this. And then there was one final senator last week. He was one of the heads of the health committee, and he was a little reluctant. So I sat down with him, I told him Demar's story, and he said yes. So now we're able to go to the floor this week, and we will go to the floor of the Senate and ask everyone to vote for this bill. Do you think it'll pass? What I told Demar is two things. I said, number one, we're on the 1 yard line. You know what that means? We're ready to score a touchdown and pass the bill. We traveled across the whole field, and now we're there. But second, I said, this year, God willing, Demar will get 2 Super Bowl rings. One after we pass this legislation, and the second when the Bills win the Super Bowl. So, That's what I'm announcing today. That we're going to put the bill, it's the first time people are hearing it, that we're going to, well, they heard it, but we're going to put the bill on the floor of the Senate this week. The bill is a game changer and creates the first of its kind grant for schools to get these AED machines, make plans to keep students safe, and it also funds CPR training, all kinds of training so the schools know what to do if a kid's having a little trouble. Damar's story shows that every minute counts. If you don't have one of these machines and CPR training and you have to be taken to the hospital, it might be too long, might be too late. But these machines make sure right away you get the help you need, and that's why it's going to save so many lives. So that's why we're so happy about what's happening. So we're here to make the final push. We want to make sure nobody blocks this bill, nobody intercepts this bill. You get the joke? Yeah. Good. I was worried. And we're going to need every athlete to show their support for this bill coming here. And you know who I'm going to ask? Since we have all the TVs here, I'm going to ask the Bills Mafia to help us. I'm going to ask the Bills Mafia to call senators, to call congressmen, to call anyone they know in other states and say, pass the Hearts bill. Is that a good idea? Yeah. If your parents have friends, relatives, children, whatever, in other states, have them call their senator to make sure they pass it. Could you do that? Who's going to do it? Raise your hands. Thank you. That'll be very helpful. So we're going to get this bill into the end zone. We're going to bring AEDs to every school in America. And now I'm going to turn it, of course, over to the great man I was talking about. He is truly a great man. And you know what else he is? Do you know what humble means? He's not a braggart. You know, he doesn't always think of himself. He's a very humble man, even though he's a great man. And that's a rare combination. Demar Hamlin.
Very thankful to be here. I was blessed to be surrounded by medical professionals who knew how to perform CPR and had an AED. And I'm here today because they saved my life. Since then, I've been working with partners who understand how important it is to provide CPR education and have access to AEDs. I met with Senator Schumer, and we talked about how important the HEARTS Act is. I gave him the Bills jersey, and on that day in March, he gave me his word. He promised me that he would work with the colleagues to move this bill forward. So first and foremost, Senator, thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to thank Terry Pagula and the Bills for the tremendous support for my family, the partners at the American Heart Association, and the CEO, my dearest friend, Nancy Brown, and the NFL Smart Heart Coalition, and Jeff Miller. I believe that every single one of them deserve the same kind of care that I had, as far as kids growing up who want to chase their dreams and want to pursue anything that they want to do. And we have a chance to be impacting the next generation. We got a chance to make history. And I hope that every senator across the country will lend their support for this bill. Thank you.
You're the man. You did great. After many years with the successful Bills, he could be a pretty good senator, don't you think?
Yeah.
But don't run against me.
That's what I was going to do.
Okay, next we have Nancy Brown. She has led something called the American Heart Association. They're a group of people all across America. You have a chapter here in Western New York?
Absolutely.
They have a great chapter here in Western New York. And they make sure that people's hearts, you know how important your heart is because it pumps your blood all around your body. They make sure that the hearts of people in the country are as good as they can be. Nancy.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to my dearest friend, Demar, who truly has become one of my very best friends in the world. It takes a very special person when something bad happens to make it good. And that's what today is really about. Thanks to Senator Schumer and his incredible leadership, and to Demar for devoting his life to making sure that people have the same opportunity that he had if something bad happens to them. In this country, every year, there are about 450,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests, and only 10% of the people who have an event survive. And that's because there is not an AED around, or people don't know how to do CPR. And so at the American Heart Association, for decades, we have been devoted to changing that statistic. I told Demar this story when he and I first met. The saddest calls I receive in my office are from parents who have lost their children because there was not someone around them that knew CPR, or there was not an AED. And one father called me and said, "My wife and I have made it our mission to help educate people in our community. And now with Demar's story and the bravery of our U.S. government, the world will change for families. And the world will change so that everyone has the same opportunity to survive that Demar had." I want to thank Senator Schumer for his unwavering commitment to getting this bill to pass. He has many bills that he oversees in our government.
But none better than the
None
Buffalo
better
Bills.
than the Buffalo Bills. There you go. You took my line away, man.
Sorry.
That was good. But none better than the Buffalo Bills, and none more important, in my opinion, than this bill, because it truly will directly save lives. I want to thank the co-sponsors of this very important bill that have co-championed this in Congress, including Senator Cory Booker and Senator Susan Collins. Demar and I had a call with Senator Collins just a couple weeks ago, and Representatives Frank Pallone, Sheila Surfalis McCormick, and Bill Posey. Our government works best when people from both parties come together and agree that something is important enough to become a law, and that's what's happening here, thanks to Senator Schumer and his support. I also want to thank the NFL, my dear friend Jeff Miller, and our commissioner, Roger Goodell. Through their leadership, they created a Smart Hearts Coalition shortly after Demar's event, and we've been very proud to partner with the NFL, not just on this bill, but on bills in states all across the country, and we're very proud of our work together. And finally, I would like to thank the Pegula family. Mr. Pegula, his daughter, Laura Pegula, have been great friends, wonderful supporters. The Buffalo Bills are an incredible partners of the AHA in the local community, and we are so grateful. So thank you so much,
Nancy.
Senator. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So yes, and I spoke this week to Mr. Pegula. He's been my good friend ever since I was talking to him about buying the bills and keeping them in Buffalo 10 years ago, and he's a great man. And you know, his daughter is a very famous tennis player, Jessica. So he has good athletes all over. And I spoke to Mr. Goodell, Roger Goodell, and he comes from Western New York. And when the Bills were going to move out of Buffalo, he helped us. He comes from Jamestown, which is about 60 miles south of here, near Lake Erie. So he's supportive. And the NFL has been greatly supportive as well. So we really thank the NFL for the great job they did. Now, every senator has some backup people who help them, and we have the House. This bill has already passed the House of Representatives. So the minute it passes the Senate, it'll go right to the president's desk. He's already told us he'll sign it, so it'll become law. And so we have passed it in the House of Representatives, and you have a great congressman here in Cheektowaga whose name is Tim Kennedy, and I'm going to call on him now to say a few words to you. Tim.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Everybody having fun? All right, everybody excited to be here and see the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin live in action? Yeah. Isn't it great? And you know, I want to just, there's so many people to thank. I'm going to start and end with Senator Chuck Schumer for his extraordinary leadership, not on just this issue, but on so many issues that are important to our community, to our state, and to our nation. Could we give Senator Schumer another round of applause for all his work? Of course, our colleagues in government, County Executive Mark Polenkars, Supervisor Brian Nowak, soon to be chair of the county legislature, Tim Myers, and Brian from the Cheektowaga Council here as well, the nurses from Roswell, Jeff Miller from the NFL, and Nancy Brown. Thank you all. We're here to celebrate the miracle that happened on the football field in Buffalo, New York, with this man right here, Damar Hamlin, number 3 for the Buffalo Bills, who's always playing great defense, including last night. He made some big hits last night. You guys see the game? He made some big hits. He said, I'm still feeling it. I said, I promise you, those guys are feeling it more than you're feeling it today. But you know, he's usually playing defense. Today, he's playing offense. An offense on an important bill that's going to save lives in our community and across our country. The HEART Act, the bill that's going to make sure that automated external defibrillators, AED devices, are in our schools, are in our communities, that people get the proper training, that schools like here in Cheektowaga and across Western New York and across America don't have finances getting in the way of purchasing these important machines. And you know, this press conference was going very, very well until the senator called on Gunner, who happened to mention that other team. I'm sorry. We won't repeat that, Matt. But aren't we excited for the Cheektowaga Chargers, everybody? Cheektowaga making it happen. Cheektowaga, the center of the universe. Senator.
Started.
And you know,
the kielbasa eating contest started.
that's right.
When I first ran, we had a contest here in Cheektowaga. Did Brooklyn or Cheektowaga have better kielbasa? I brought up Brooklyn kielbasa from White Eagle. You had it from Redlinski's, and I'm glad to say Redlinski's won.
Cheektowaga won the kielbasa contest. Of course we did. Of course we did, Senator. So I want to say this on a more serious note. I know firsthand how important these AED devices are, because I've actually used one. And as a trained healthcare professional, as an occupational therapist, I know the nurses here and other healthcare practitioners are trained in our education to use these AED devices. What this legislation will do is it'll help to train individuals across America. But there was a point in time following the tragic 5/14 massacre that happened in Buffalo. 8 days later, Senator Schumer and I were at a birthday celebration for one of the victims, Zaire Goodman, who was shot in the neck just 8 days prior. He was celebrating his 21st birthday with his mother, Zanetta Everhart, who worked in my office, now Councilwoman Zanetta Everhart, who's been a great voice for gun prevention and nonviolence across America.
Yep.
And while we were there, a great advocate and leader in the community, Marnetta Malcolm, went down. Her heart stopped.
Yes.
Just like Demar Hamlin's heart stopped on the football field, Marnetta Malcolm's heart stopped. And myself and 2 others that had been trained in the use of these AED devices were able to jump into action, perform CPR, and then connect and use an AED device until the fire department and first responders showed up. Not only did we save Marnetta Malcolm's life, and not only is she leading today, but she's thriving. So let's hear it again for Marnetta Malcolm, another survivor because of AEDs. So these machines save lives, and because of the efforts of Demar Hamlin, his courage in telling his story, and Senator Schumer for championing this in the Senate. As he's mentioned, it passed the House. I was happy to support this bill as it came across the House of Representatives in September, but now it's on to the Senate this week. Let's hear it for Senator Schumer, everybody. Can we hear? Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you, Demar Hamlin. Thank you, American Heart Association. Thank you, NFL. And it's onward to the finish line. Let's get it over the finish line and into the end zone. Thank you so much, Senator Schumer.
Mark Polenkars, our great county executive.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here, especially with number 3, Damar Hamlin, who's having an incredible season.
Yes,
You're having a great season. And it just shows the resiliency of why we're all here today. Erie County is very proud to partner with many people, including the American Heart Association, UBMD, the Buffalo Bills Foundation, Damar's Foundation, on training individuals and making our community a heart-safe community. We are almost there. In less than 2 years, we've trained more than 103,000 of our fellow residents. Thank you. 103,000 of our fellow residents on the proper use of CPR, and many of them were done at the Bills games. So thank you to the NFL and the Buffalo Bills for doing that. Erie County and our partners with Legislator Myers, we've distributed over 112 AEDs to all libraries and youth sports organizations, but we know more must be done. And that's why I'm here today to say to Senator Schumer, thank you for being a champion to the Heart Bill. Thank you to Demar, as well as the American Heart Association, for being a champion. My father likes to talk about no-brainers. This seems to be a no-brainer. Why would we not want to have an AED in every school in America? Because if we can save one life, one child's life, then this bill was worth it. So on behalf of the people of Erie County, I want to thank you all for your support of this bill. Thank everyone for the hard work that you do. Former Senator Kennedy, I got to remember to call him Congressman Kennedy, for his vote in support of the Heart Bill. And Senator Schumer, and whatever we need to help you get this bill across the finish line, across the goal line, so we do score that final touchdown, please let us know, because saving every life that we can will make a difference in so many lives going forward, and it is something we can all be proud of. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Our last speaker, I know we've had a long program, kids. Our last speaker is someone from the NFL. Who knows what the NFL is? Right. They're the league that the Bills and all the football teams play in. I knew him when he worked in the Senate many years ago, and he's now a big shot. Well, his title is Executive Vice President for Communications, Public Affairs, and Policy for the NFL, Jeff Miller.
Thank you, Senator. At the NFL, we like to think that we know something about great teams. The Buffalo Bills are a great team.
Yes.
With a big game coming up this week with the Lions. But we also know that we can affect our communities by putting together great teams. And if I had a first-round draft choice, mine would be Damar Hamlin to do just that.
Yes.
Then I would go get Nancy Brown and I would beg Chuck Schumer to coach them all. And so we're going to ask the coach to get this thing into the end zone and win the game this week. Every one of our stadiums, every one of our practice facilities has AED machines, many of them, and people trained to use them. The athletic trainers and the doctors that saved Damar's life exist in every one of our stadiums. They practice and rehearse the use of the AED machine should something like Damar's incident happen. And you know what? It happens more often than just on the field. Coaches, spectators, others need the AEDs during the course of the year, and they're used. And so after Damar's incident, when he came up with the idea of leading a public policy effort to do this, we were happy to support him, the Chasing M's Foundation, to partner with the American Heart Association, a longtime trusted partner of the NFL, and put together the Smart Heart Coalition. 40 groups large at this point, with bills passed in a number of states, but none more important than the work that is going on under Coach Schumer's leadership, which will pass this week. And we will continue to do this work after this bill is passed to make sure that high schools like this one, like the one where my kids play sports, and everyone across the country get the same benefit that Damar gets at our stadiums on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whatever days we choose to play games. So we thank you all for being here, and we're thrilled to be a part of this coalition. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.